Hello everyone, this is a practice question on statement of cash flows. It is a 15 marker. Let's dive in. Firework Co. So the following financial statements and supporting information relate to Firework Co., a limited liability entity. So we have a statement of profit or loss. We have a statement of financial position. Now, we have to work out the statement of cash flows, but look at what I've written here. Cash has decreased by 12,000. How did I get this figure? Well, if you look at the 2000 X4 figure, it was 10,000 positive. But if you look at 2000 X5, it was 2,000 negative, bank overdraft. So how did we go from positive 10,000 to negative 2,000? It must have decreased by 12,000. So we will have a net decrease in cash and cash equivalent. Now, in the exam, these will be given to you. So all we need to do is enter the figures and you are marked if you get the figures correctly. So we start with profits before tax, and the profits before tax, well, 31,000. We're working in thousand. Adjustments for depreciation. Do we have anything for depreciation? If you look at all the way down, depreciation charge for the year was 15 million. So this will become 15,000 for us. We also have a loss on sale on disposal, 2 million. So let's add that here. Interest payable. So let's put that in here for now. We'll adjust later. What happened to our inventory? So inventory was 30,000 in 2000 X4, 36,000. We have more inventory, which means we must have spent more money. So that's negative 6,000. What about receivables? Let's see. 35,000, 40,000. Our customers owe us more money. So which means our money is sitting in their pockets by 5,000. So negative 5,000. What about payables? All the way down. So it went from 30,000 to 36,500, which means money stayed in the business. 1,500, the difference. So from 36,500 to, what was it? 30, oh, that's 6,500. My apologies, 6,500. Change in payables. Let's see if we got that right. Yep. Now, do we have anything on interest payment? No. This one talks about tax liability, so we assume that whatever interest here was also paid, so we'll put that as a negative figure. And what about income taxes? Well, we have an income tax expense of 6,000. What are we told? Firework Co. estimated that the income tax liability arising on profit for the year ended 30th of June 2005 was 6.5 million. So let's see, 6.5 million. So we have income tax expense here, 6 million. And we are told income tax liability arising on the profit for the year ended 30th of June 2005 was 6.5 million. That means we need to do a little bit of working for income taxes. So, right, so we'll need to do a little bit of workings when it comes to income taxes. Let's work this out. So we have an income tax liability at the start of the year, 10,000. The income tax for the year, according to the profit and loss, the income tax expense is 6,000. 9,000. This is what has been recorded. And we have an income tax liability of 6,500 at the end. What does that mean? So how much did we pay during the year? That would be the missing figure here. So 10,000 plus 6,000 minus 6,500. So 9,500 is whatever we have paid during the year. And that figure, income taxes, negative 9,500 will go here. Now let's have a subtotal and then we continue looking at, that should read investing activities. I got carried away there. And then financing activities. So let's have a total for cash generated from operations. And let's have a subtotal here after paying interest. So, and income taxes. So this amount here, they already have a negative sign, so I'm just going to add them up. And so far, we end up with 34,000. Let's continue. Now, the next item is to look at property, plant, and equipment. Let's call it working 2. So for property, plant, and equipment, so let's do that here. We started off with 93,000. So carrying amount at start, 93,000. Then what happened? Don't forget, we disposed of some property, plant, and equipment. Now, if the disposal proceeds is 8 million, we made a loss of 2 million. It means the carrying amount must have been 10 million. So carrying amount of disposal of equipment. So that's a negative because we disposed of the asset. What about depreciation charge for the year? Because that has reduced the value of the property, plant, and equipment. That's 15 million. Depreciation, that has reduced the amount of property, plant, and equipment. Now, there was a revaluation. Bear in mind, the revaluation, well, it doesn't give us anything in the notes here, but look at the statement of profit or loss. Where is it? We have a revaluation of property, plant, and equipment of 2 million. Now this revaluation must have increased the value of the asset. And then at the end, we end up with 110,000, isn't it? So 110,000. Now, this here would be the cash paid to acquire any property, plant, and equipment. Let's work this out. So let's have a sum of all of this. It comes to 70,000. So 110,000 minus 70,000 would give us our cash paid to acquire new property, plant, and equipment. 40,000. So 40,000 is what we have paid to acquire new property, plant, and equipment. Now, since we have paid, so that would be a negative figure. What about disposal proceeds? Now, this one has been given to us. Where is it? Somewhere at the bottom. So 8 million. Disposal proceeds, that's a positive. Let's have a subtotal. Now let's put all the subtotal in blue. Let's have a subtotal here as well. That'll be negative 32,000. So again, let's put that in. Right, let's move to financing activities. Let's tackle the repayment of loan. So let's go down. Now we have bank loan was 17,000 in 2004, and it's only 7,000 in 2005, which means we must have paid 10,000, 17,000 minus 10,000. So repayment of loan here, that's a negative 10,000. What about issue of shares? Now, for issue of shares, we need to be a little bit careful. So let's do issue of shares here. Issue of shares. Now, what we see is the share value has increased from 15,000 to 20,000. So you would say, all right, issue of shares, there has been new issue. That's a positive of 5,000. But if you look at the share premium, it has gone from 3,000 in 2004 to 8,000, which means the share was issued at a premium, and the total value that we received is 10 million. So proceeds of issue of shares, 10 million here. Fantastic. We are nearly there. Finally, we need to look at dividends. Now, if the format was not given to you in the exam, probably some student would have skipped this part. But thank God it's given, because we have paid, or Firework Co. has paid some dividend, but it's not very straightforward. How do you find out what dividend was paid? Well, for this, you need to look at the retained earnings figure. Now, we started off with retained earnings of 85,000. If we add the profit for the year, by that I mean this figure, 25,000. So if we add this up, the retained earnings, let's do it here. The retained earnings at the end could be, so 85,000 plus 25,000 should be 110,000. However, what do we see? The retained earnings at the end of the year is 96,000, meaning we must have paid some dividend. Now, what is the amount that we paid as dividend? It must be 110,000 minus 96,000. So we must have paid 14,000 in terms of dividend. Now, let me put it here so that it's clear to you. So you see here, retained earnings at the start of the year plus profit for the year minus dividend should give you the retained earnings at the end of the year. So let's add all of these together, and there you have it, 96,000, which means This company must have paid dividend of 14,000. Now let's have a subtotal here. And again, I will put that in blue for our subtotal. Okay. Now, if we account for the cash generated from operations, the cash from investing activities, and the cash from financing activities, it should give us, let's move this down slightly, the net decrease in cash, which we have already calculated of 12,000. Does it do that? Moment of proof. So cash generated from operations plus cash from investing activities plus cash from financing activities. And what do you know? Let's put that in green. So then you have the cash and cash equivalent at the start, which was 10,000. Let's add that in there. And when you add up these two, you end up with negative 2,000, or as you can see here, a bank overdraft. There you go.